I am making a team where everybody hates the manager, except I am going to be the manager, so everyone's gonna hate me. So in a previous video that we did, we looked at a team where everybody hated an AI manager to see how that might have influenced the squad. And we saw some interesting things, and if you'd like to watch that video, I'll link that up above. But this time we're going to do something a little bit different. Well, instead of making an AI manager, I have made the entire team hate me. So we are going to simulate what would happen if you took over a team in Football Manager and for some reason the entire team just hated you. But before I go in and make every player hate me, I wanted to establish a baseline to see what just things look like clicking around the game before all of the players hate me. So I've gone in, I'm managing Celtic, and particularly I'm interested in looking at the dynamics. So if we look at the dynamics right now, the managerial support is average, the club atmosphere is pretty good, team cohesion is very poor, but that is to be expected at the very beginning of a managerial save. So this is what everything looks like at the moment. I am now going to go in and edit every player so that they absolutely hate me, and we are going to see what happens from there. And so that you guys can see that what that looks like, I'll just go into every player, go to their personal details, go to their dislike people, and add, and I'm going to type in myself in the game. So we'll go in, we'll make them hate me, the manager of their club. We'll have them permanently hate me at the worst possible level. I'm going to do that for every single player on Celtic, and I'll catch up with you once I have done that. All right, welcome back. I have now made it so that every player in Celtic hates me. So starting off with Callum McGregor, who we saw earlier, if we go into his dislike people, I am at the top of the list of the people that he just absolutely hates. We also have our Kyogo Furuhashi here. So if we go into his personal details, disliked once again, we have Filipino FM. And if we go all the way down to our very last player on the list here, go into his personal details, and he also absolutely hates me. So let's see how things might have changed. So we looked at the dynamics earlier, everything was pretty average. Now, managerial support is very poor. I think team cohesion actually might have gotten worse. That's a little interesting. Club atmosphere is pretty good, but the biggest thing here is that the managerial support is terrible. A number of the players don't get along well with me. And if we look at a player like Joe Hart right here, and if we go into his happiness, and we can see his relationship with me is that we are apparently rivals, and he holds great disdain for me as a manager, and that is ubiquitous across the entire Celtic team. So we're off to a pretty bad start at the moment. So there are a number of things that I want to see here. First, I want to see what happens when I do my initial team meeting and see if that affects any of the dynamics there. Second, I want to see what happens if I attempt to praise their training and see if some of those individual interactions are affected by them hating me. And finally, I do want to simulate a match and see how things like the pre-match talk, the halftime talk, and the post-game talk are affected by them all hating me. So those are the three things that we are going to look at today. So the first thing we're going to do here is we are just going to host a team meeting to introduce ourselves to the squad. So overall, all right, overall meeting atmosphere encouraged, so that's good. So let's start off with the generic. Oh, and that's not good. Yep. So this is what happens when a team absolutely hates you. You need to prove yourself. All right. So let's see what we can do here. I've never had something like this before. So I don't even know what kind of promises I would make. So let's just start off by saying I don't want to make any promises. All right, that is a good thing. So that was encouraging. I think the expectation is to win the title. So let's click on that. All right. And it's actually not so bad at the moment. Brilliant. This one I want to hear. I don't remember what the Champions League is. I think for this, obviously, just click on whatever the board expectation here. I think it's this one. I didn't look at it. Okay, that was it. That's exactly the sort of reaction I was after. We want to win the Scottish Cup. All right, everything is actually pretty good so far. So the beginning of the team meeting was pretty terrible because they all hate me, but we managed to turn things around by doing the things we're supposed to do. So that was good. So morale has taken a huge boost. Managerial support is still pretty poor, but the dressing room atmosphere is much higher. So it looks like despite their poor attitudes towards us, all right, we've managed to kind of have a good start here. So some of the other things I want to look at include training, what's going to happen if we praise each of their individual training. But this is something that can only happen after a month. So if you're just starting a new save and you're like, why can't I praise their individual training? That's because you have to wait a month to do it. So we will simulate for it a month and then see how everything's looking. And then after that, we are going to go to the first Scottish Premiership game and we're going to see what happens. So with that, I am going to go forward about a month. I'm going to go on holiday and we will move from there. So with that, I'm going to go on to holiday. Imagine, right? You have a manager who you just absolutely hate. They come in, all they do is give you a team meeting, and they're like, screw it, I'm going on holiday. That would definitely only make you hate them even more. But with that, so that we could make this go by a little bit quicker, we are on June 27th. Let's move forward to July 31st, closer to the start of the season. We're going to go on holiday. We're going to look at praising the training and see if that affects anything. So I will see you in 1 month. All right, welcome back. We're about approximately a month into the future. So now we can look at praising players' training. So looking at the dynamics, managerial support's still pretty poor. I did just go on vacation for a month, so I don't see why they would like me. So with that, because they all still hate me, let's see what happens if I go into their training and try to praise them. So there are some players who obviously should be praised here. I think most people praise 8 and above, but I'm going to go down and see what happens, praising everyone kind of 7 above, just to see what a bad reaction might look like. So we have Anthony Ralston here. He obviously should be praised. All right, and that was pretty good. Greg Taylor here. We're going to praise him. Appreciate you noticing. So anyone above 8 here, we still have the normal reaction with that slight increase in morale. So now let's look at some other players where we might not be expecting it as much. So we have James Forrest here. All right, he's still feeling good. All right, everyone's had some pretty good responses so far. We're getting down to 7.5. Tell them they've trained well. We're still getting good responses. Let's go down to somewhere where we might not expecting it. Kind of the last area of someone who might have done well. We're going to praise Joe Hart. We're going to tell him he's done well. And it still wasn't terrible. I mean, he said he's, not sure that he's trained well enough, but thanks anyway. And it looks like we got a little bit of a morale boost. All right, overall, not too bad so far. We also have some obvious candidates for criticism here, so let's see if criticizing does anything. We're going to criticize Bain. And he says he's going to improve. Criticized so far. From the looks of it, as long as we kind of do what we're supposed to do, the criticisms have been fine, and the praises and training have been fine. Overall, not so bad before. Not so bad so far, despite the whole team hating me. I am curious to see about some other things. So let's try and praise Joe Hart for his conduct. Another individual interaction. He is vice captain. He, again, a good reaction. So far, we're not doing so bad with individual reactions and stuff. Again, he still hates me. He still has great disdain for me. But as far as the individual interactions are concerned, we're doing well. Again, the managerial support is poor, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the club atmosphere so much. So that is a good thing. Something interesting, though, that I was curious about, if we go into Club Vision and look at our performance, decent so far, but they are concerned at the lack of support. So I think that is something that would affect us if we were looking at entire season. I think the board would probably be more likely to pull the trigger on firing if that came to it because of the lack of support. So in this case, if an entire club did hate you, it would probably be really important to maintain that positive atmosphere because a very much lack of support. All right, well, with that in mind, I think the last thing to do is go in game. So let's go, let's play Aberdeen, and let's look at some stuff and see what happens. We're going to look at the pre-match pep talk, the halftime pep talk, and the post-game talk. And let's just see if any of that is affected in the game. And we'll even look at some touchline instructions as well. So with that, I will see you in the match against Aberdeen. All right, we are in match, so we are going to see how this might affect the pre-match pep talk. And everyone looks composed, nothing looks too bad so far, so we're just going to say we're favorites, and they appear inspired. We've had a good start despite the team hating us. Let's go into the tunnel, let's go into the match, and we will see what happens from there. Honestly, we've had a pretty good start to the team hating us so far. The team meeting went well, the training has gone well, the managerial support is poor, but even still, like, we had a really good pep talk here, and we've nearly fashioned off a chance right away. So far, things aren't too bad. Well, we've also allowed an early goal here, so we're actually playing quite poorly. So I say that, but that being said, we have gotten off to a very poor start. So maybe the team hating me is affecting performance because we are doing very poor. I've also just quick picked the lineup, so I don't know if that's helping at all. And we have a goal right back. David Turnbull off of a free kick. Okay, well, things aren't looking too bad so far, I suppose. The team hates me, but we are tied. We've had way more chances in the first 20 minutes than I was expecting. I really want to hit him with an encourage shout at some point. That is something I want to see what the potential reaction to might be, but we're going to wait till around the 20-minute mark to do that. I think that's probably fair given the state of the match. And we're up 2-1, just like that. All right, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to do the encourage shout at this point, because we're actually winning, so we might do a praise shout instead, just to see what that might look like. And we might actually be up 3, and we're up 3-1. I think we can definitely hit them with a praise shout at this point, certainly. We are up 3-1 against Aberdeen. I think at this point, we look like we're going to win the match. So let's hit them with some praise, and we will go through this highlight, and we'll see what the praise might have done at that point. But a good start to the match. Nearly 4-1 there. An excellent save by the Aberdeen goalkeeper. And the praise looks good. They hate us, but they are responding to touchline instructions just as they normally would. So, despite the team hating, it seems that the touchline instructions are still working as normal. Well, it's halftime, and we're winning 5-1. So, despite the fact that, again, the team kind of hates us, we're still winning 5-1. So, I think everything's all right so far. So, let's go into the dressing room. Obviously, at this point, we would praise the players, so let's praise them. And sure enough, they have responded very well. All right, well, I think this goes to show it hasn't really affected the pre-match pep talk or the halftime pep talk because everything's going well so far. So I'm assuming we're going to win this match. I'm going to try something and see how they might react if I do a really bad pep talk. And we'll see if that makes things significantly worse. So we'll play the second half, and then we'll go to the end of the game. I guess we can see what happens if we make some subs here. Honestly, I don't even know this team well enough to know like who should come in for subs, like what position everyone plays. But I think Maeda plays maybe inside forward. We'll stick Kobayashi. Does he play forward? What position does he play? Oh, he plays center back. Okay. We'll stick him in for Vickers. And this guy plays up top. So we'll make some subs there. And let's give them a team talk. Again, they all hate me. Let's see. No pressure. And they responded well to it. Everything is going great so far. All right. Well, we absolutely dominated the match. I don't think the fact that they hated me had anything to do with it. So we've won 9-2. Clearly, you can still win matches if the team hates you. You can still keep a good club atmosphere if you do everything correct. But let's do something wrong. Let's see what happens if we do something wrong. So let's go into the dressing room and we're going to tell them we weren't good enough. And they appeared uncertain, happy. I don't actually know, though, if that's different than anything that we would have seen normally. But we've done something wrong, and let's see what that looks like after the match. All right, right off the bat, I see something very interesting here. But before we go to that, let's go into the dynamics. All right, managerial support went way down. and we have a number of players who are unhappy. I don't know if that is already made worse. I think that was made worse because they already hated me. So if you do something wrong, there might be greater consequences than if you had that managerial support. So if you do something good, those good things are still good. They will still help to improve the club atmosphere, but there is greater consequence if the team hates you if you do something wrong. And sure enough, despite winning 9-2, the squad is unhappy with the situation. I'm assuming because of the team talk was too harsh. I mean, they did win 9-2. I would be pretty mad if I got a team talk with that. But let's try to discuss the issue with the quad just to see what happens. There's some discontent that's concerning. And I think what we do here is we back down and let's see. Okay, you can improve this. So even if you do something wrong, you can improve the situation. And everything's okay now. All right. So managerial support's still poor, but the dressing room atmosphere is good once again. It seems that the problems are resolved. I don't see any players with the slight concern anymore, but they are waiting on that promise. So if we look at the promise, so we would have to make sure that the promise is maintained. That wouldn't be very difficult to do, I don't think. But all right, so you can fix it if you do something wrong, but there are greater consequences if you do something wrong. You are going to have to make a promise, keep a promise, do a team meeting, something of the sort. But it's certainly something that can be come back from. Well, that's it. This is a squad that entirely hates me as the manager, me as the football manager player. But you can still make things work. If you do everything right, you can keep the dynamics high. You just need to make sure not to do anything wrong because at that point, there are pretty severe consequences for you and your managerial support. And I think the biggest thing is if for some reason you went into a team that really hated you, that would be a criticism of the board. But overall, if a team fully hates you, it's still something you can come back from. Well, that's all I've got for this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you all are having a wonderful week, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.